Good evening, beloved. Welcome to Dark Bulb Media Radio Space.
Yeah, like a you, no worries, no worries. They do me wow. Scatter my intana, baby on sal.
The show is Blazing Dissect.
Session in the lala.
And hi, I'm Itunolu Emmanuel Adele Senior.
They do me wow. Scatter my intana, baby on sal. Killing me kitano.
Blazing Dissect is a social sporting program where we dissect matters of social importance.
Now run hastily to you in my Panamera. Hola.
And today's edition is the continuation of what we started last week, the Cucumbers Complex.
The thing you put for this your dollar, got my heart and my soul on love.
Why the world has always been in a bad state to humans.
Do it all for love. There's nothing for any for I never wanna lose this.
Why humans never ever feel the time they are living in is a great time.
Why
it is difficult for humans to track progress or observe it. Co-hosting the show tonight with me is my G, Richard Afolabi. We're here together last week. We're here for you again today. Richard, the words to our listeners.
Good evening, everyone. We're here again tonight to talk about some very, very touchy issues about society. And like I always say, tonight we'll be rewiring some crooked minds. That's what I was saying.
All right, you had him. Rewiring of crooked minds. So last week we were able to put the conversation on the ground, established the conversation. We talked on varieties of points, shared different details concerning why humans find it very, very hard to observe the progress going on around them. So the Cucumbers Complex, one would wonder that for those of you who are not with us last week, one would wonder that what is Cucumbers Complex? Actually, it's the Egypt's Cucumbers Complex, and the idea or the nomenclature was borrowed from the narratives of the biblical story between the God of Israel and Israelites themselves. So according to the story, for about 400 years, they've been slaving away in Egypt. And throughout those times, they've always prayed that God should take them out of Egypt, which is the land of their oppressors. And God eventually heard their prayer, and decided to bring them out of Egypt through an exodus, and few years or few months into the exodus, they began to crave for Egypt. They began to complain. They began to, talk about the delicacies of Egypt. And one of the delicacies they mentioned was cucumber. We used to have wonderful cucumber, carrots. They started fantasizing about all the sorts of loving meals they were having down there in Egypt. The same Egypt they were complaining about, that place was a hell, a living hell for any human being. And it's kind of amusing when you look at it. When you analyze that kind of situation, you feel like, what exactly was going through the head of these guys? I mean, you were slaves, and now you are being liberated by a God that you've been crying on to for over 400 years. And now you are out of that situation, that oppressive situation, that slavery situation. And few months into it, few years into that journey, that progress, the process of that progress, you are craving for the same Egypt again. And for you, Egypt is far better off than this progress as free men. So you wonder that, but the Egyptians are not alone. This is the core human nature. This is what you see happen with every human, with any human, and including myself and every other person. You have to consciously fight this complex, that complex that helps you see only the negatives around you, you see only the doom going on around you. It's very difficult for you to know that you've made any progress. And then the result of that is a lot of depression going on around, and a lot of apathy, apathetic way of living. You just leave everything. What's the point? It's never going to get better. So the crux of this conversation, the importance of it is the capacity for this conversation to, awaken some of the dead-spirited humans, to wake us up that we can actually do and make a lot of difference in this world, as against what our psyche or our psychology or our mind are telling us. There is a lot of progress we have personally recorded. Personally, we have recorded a lot of progress, and societally, at the social scale, we've also recorded enormous progress. And when we understand it, we have the confidence to march into the future and do great stuff for ourselves. So that was where we stopped the conversation last week, and we are going to be continuing from there today. Now, one of the things we are going to touch today, we established the fact that the cucumber complex has infested a lot of humans throughout all ages, and having established that, what we are going to focus on tonight is talk about an aspect of this. Why is this in perpetuity? Why has it not stopped all through the centuries? Why is it that till date, we still have this we still have the human mind being infested with this complex? And we're going to talk about one of the key forces that has been driving this amongst humans, and that is the storehold of information, powerhouse of information, which we call the media, houses. So the media, we feel that it has a lot of roles in this complex in helping humans to believe that the world around them is falling all apart. And then we're going to talk about another phase of the conversation for tonight. We're going to talk about the 1% elite and how they've been taking advantage of the fact that a chunk of the human population believe that the world is heading towards doom, and very few elite population of our society, are not infested by this, and they are capitalizing on it, cashing out on it, while the rest, of the 99% of thereabout humans are slaving away, just trying to, grow old and die because they believe that the world is crashing apart. So the last part of the conversation tonight is going to be where we are going to talk about the solution. How are we supposed to break free from this problem? How can I break free from this complex that makes it so difficult for me to record the progress that I'm making? Count my blessings to see how far we've come as a society and how far I have come as individual. So Richard and I will be driving the conversation. And at a point in the conversation, we're going to be bringing in, some of us down there on the floor that wants to contribute. You have a point or two to share with us. we're going to be bringing you in as well. So all you have to do is to request for the mic, and when we feel it's right for you to talk, we're going to approve you to come up, and share your thoughts with us. So speaking of how the media has contributed grossly, into how the human mind has been infested with this complex, we are going to go on a break. When we come back from the break, we're going to officially start the conversation. So we're going to be starting it with an excerpt that I'm going to be reading from the book Enlightenment Now by Steven Pinker. I'll read page 41, through page 43. There, we're going to see one of the arguments of Steven Pinker as to how the media has propagated and perpetuated this complex amongst humans. So don't go away, just enjoy the music. When we come back, we are going to go right into the dissection of today's subject matter.
Trendybeats.com. Mama, what a beautiful Onyinye. I was feeling so sad because I was all alone. It was so bad. She touched my heart and said, I knows we go. I was so glad. The way she keeps me smiling, it brings me joy. She proves this loving is real. Within my heart there's nobody else. Baby, give me your hand, let me take you away. Mommy, see the girl I want to marry. No time, no delay. After all the things I've been through, I present my love to you. The girl I want to marry, the girl I want to marry. See the girl I want to carry. Now the girl I want to marry. Oh, no mume. Oh, my changwa. What a beautiful Onyinye. Nenye makagi. So you and I can fly away. Straight to the sky. Just you and I. Girl, I know the lie. Can't you see? You were sent from above, and you know you're my sweetness, my sweetness. Is this love? I don't know, but I know what I'm feeling. My God, be my witness. You're my princess. The way she keeps me smiling, it brings me joy. She proves this loving is real. Within my heart there's nobody else. Would you give me your hand, let me take you away. Mommy, see the girl I want to marry. No time, no delay. After all the things I've been through, I present my love to you. The girl I want to marry, the girl I want to marry. See the girl I want to carry. Now the girl I want to marry. Mama, let me see you. Mama, let me see you. Daddy, let me see you. Mama, let me see you. Let me see you. Sent from above, and you know you're my heart and my sweetness. Is this love? Is this love? I don't know, but I know what I'm feeling. Baba God, now my witness. You're my princess. Hey, oh yeah, 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 yeah. Mama, she's my beautiful Onyinye. Yeah. Oh yeah, let me see you. Mama, mama, let me see you. Daddy, let me see you. Sister, let me see you. Let me see you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mama,
More music on trendybeats.com.
yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Mama, neme, what a beautiful Onyinye. Yeah, Nimo Bimo, oh Bimo. I was feeling so sad because I was all alone. Was so bad, and there she goes. She touched my heart and said, everything I know to go. Hey, was so glad.
All right, welcome back. Blazing Dissect is the program. I am Itunolu Emmanuel Adele. Before we went on the break, we were talking about the Kukumba's complex and basically why the human mind always interprets the world around it as being in the state of crisis, scarcity, and doom. And one of the biggest culprits and contributor to this, we believe, is the media, which is the platform through which information are perpetuated and spread around, human society and environment. So we promised to read from the argument of Steven Pinker. Steven Pinker is an American psychologist that deals with social behavior and how this behavior affects development and growth. So he has an argument or a case to present concerning how the media has contributed to the reason why people perceive the world around them as being heading towards doom and collapse. So I'm going to read straight from the book, Enlightenment Now, is the title of the book. I'm going to read from page 40 through page 42. So it goes thus. Are they right? Is pessimism correct? Could the state of the world, like the stripes on a barber's shop, keep sinking lower and lower? It's easy to see why people feel that way. Every day, the news is filled with stories about war, terrorism, crime, pollution, inequality, drug abuse, and oppression. And it's not just the headlines we are talking about. It's the opt and the long-form stories as well. Magazine covers warn us of coming anarchies, plagues, epidemic, collapses, and so many crises. Crises ranging in the sectors of farming, health, retirement, welfare, energy, and the likes. Whether or not the world really is getting worse, the nature of news will interact with the nature of cognition to make us think that it is. News is about things that happen, not things that don't happen. We never see a journalist saying to the camera, "I'm reporting live from a country where a war has not broken out," or a city that has not been bombed, school that has not been shut up. As long as bad things have not vanished from the face of the earth, there will always be enough incidents to fill the news, especially when billions of smartphones turn most of the world's population into crime reporter and war correspondents. And among the things that do happen, the positive and negative ones unfold on different timelines. The news, far from being a first draft of history, is closer to play-by-play sports commentary. It focuses on discrete events, generally those that took place since the last edition. Bad things can happen quickly, but good things aren't built in a day. And as they unfold, they would be out of sync with the news cycle. The peace researcher Johan Galtung pointed out that if a newspaper came out once every 50 years, it would not report half a century of celebrity gossip and political scandal. It will report momentous global changes, such as the increase in the life expectancy of humans. The nature of news is likely to distort people's view of the world because of a mental bug that the psychologists Amos Tversky and Daniel Kahneman called the availability heuristics. People estimate the probability of an event or the frequency of a kind of thing by the ease with which instances of it come to mind. In many walks of life, this is a serviceable rule of thumb. Frequent events leave stronger memory traces. So stronger memories generally indicate more frequent events. You really are on a solid ground in guessing that pigeons are more common in cities than horrors. You really are on a solid ground in guessing that pigeons are more common in cities than horrors, even though you are drawing on your memory encountering them rather than on a bird census. But whenever a memory turns up high in the results list of the mind search engine for reason other than frequency, because it is recent, vivid, gory, distinctive, or upsetting, people will overestimate how likely it is in the world, which are more numerous in the English language. Words that begin with K or words with K in the third position. Most people would say the former. In fact, there are 3 times many more words with K in the middle than the words that start with K. So availability error are common source of folly in human reasoning. First-year medical students interpret every rash as a symptom of an exotic disease, and vacationers stay out of the water after they have read about a shark attack if they have just seen Jaws. Plane crashes always make the news, but car crashes, which kill far more people, almost never do. Not surprisingly, many people have a fear of flying, but almost no one has a fear of driving. People rank tornado, which kills about 50 Americans a year, as a more common cause of death than asthma, which kills more than 4,000 Americans a year, presumably because tornadoes make better for television. So it is easy to see how the availability heuristic stuck by the news policy, if it bleeds, it leads, would induce a sense of gloom about the state of the world. Media scholars would tally news stories of different kind, or present editor with a menu of possible stories and see which they pick and how they display them. I've confirmed that the gatekeepers prefer negative to positive coverage. Holding the events constant. That in turn provides an easy formula for pessimists on the editorial page. Make a list of all the worst things that are happening anywhere on the planet that week, and you have an impressive sounding case that civilization has never faced greater peril. So I'm going to stop here. So that is Steven Pinker making a case on how the media has been the chief culprits in infesting the minds of humans and making the world around them seem unprogressive, destructive, and ever in doom. So I would bring my co-host in at this point to have a conversation around this. Is it really founded that in the Nigerian context, for instance, how the media reportage of false and negative news have had negative impact on the pace of our development? So, Richard, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I would. It's actually very true. You see, the media is a very big propaganda tool to condition the mind of the masses. So, when you see headlines, that's Andrew Tate said something. He said he learned from his father that most times he allows a manipulator to manipulate his mind so that he can know what the manipulator wants him to do, so that he can now counter the person with his own actions. Now, sometimes for you to be able to understand the impact of the news, you should first listen and see the end of that story, where it's trying to lead you to, what it's trying to push to you. Then you know what this thing is pro, who it's trying to support, why they are throwing this out, and how it affects you mentally as an individual. Let me give you an example of one of the ways the elites utilize this. This is a very common example. So now, when you want to travel out of Nigeria because of the Japa syndrome, so every time you wake up, you see a lot of bad news. I feel like even people that are making money from travels are actually very excited about the bad news that are happening. They are pushing people to the point of running out of the country. Now, let me give you a simple example. So there's someone sitting somewhere that will liquidate his fixed deposit. That's probably going to be some percentage per annum, and make 4%, 5%, 8%, sometimes even 10%, depending on how urgent they need it, on just giving someone money to be able to have their statement of accounts to travel out. Now, if that person has a propaganda to push, what would they push? They'll push to you that there's a better opportunity outside Nigeria than in Nigeria, even though they are benefiting from you running out. I don't think any traveling agency will come and tell you that traveling out of Nigeria is a bad thing. They will not tell you about the effect of the reduction in talents that we have access to because everybody's relocating. They won't tell you about the effect of mass migration because of the money they are making from it. So when you look at the news, you look at where is this leading you to mentally? Where is this trying to get you to? Is this trying to help you make a better life of yourself wherever you are, or is trying to stop you from making decisions? Now, if you talk to most people outside of Nigeria, they would tell you that, Nigeria is in a chaotic state. It is in a terrible state. Blah blah blah. Where are they getting those information from? Some of them are getting it from WhatsApp groups, getting it from messages, getting it from news platform online that probably would never report anything positive that is happening in Nigeria. So every time they look at the news, they see something negative. There's no way they can see the positive in whatever is happening in Nigeria. So when they tell you things, now someone was telling me last time that the crime per capita in the United States is way higher, especially when it comes to gun violence, than anything we've ever experienced in Nigeria in almost 50 years. Now, do you understand what that means? That number of people that died due to gun violence in the United States is way higher than what we have in Nigeria. And now, look at it. We, as Nigerians, feel like IPOP or a group of people are terrorizing us. Nigeria is in a very terrible state. But between this conversation that we've had right now, within the last 1 hour, I can tell you that in the state of Chicago, nothing less than 6 people have died due to gun violence in less than an hour. Why? Because that's the rate at which people lose their life out there. But the media will not propagate that. And even if it does, what is the agenda of the person pushing that storyline? Are they trying to have a gun reform? Are they trying to push a gun reform agenda to reduce the amount of people that have access to guns in the United States? Or are they trying to show other countries that if you come to the United States, stop coming to the United States because it's not as safe as you think it is, so that it will reduce the mass migration to the United States? What is the major goal of the news you consume? Once you understand what that is all about, you can now build your mind against or for the news that you're getting into your subconscious. Because the thing is, most people don't understand that everything is in my mind. Now you wake up in the morning and NTA is telling you that the president of Nigeria signed a budget that they should allow naval presidential yacht that is supposed to help the Navy with a lot of security things. NTA. What do you think NTA is? National Television Authority. Meaning that it is pro the government whether or not there's a crisis in the nation. But now you go to maybe Arise TV or Arise News and you see something like presidential yacht, 5 billion naira, blah blah blah. Ow. Now, it's an antagonizing news. You don't even know the details of that news. You don't even know that these people are just clickbaiting you into seeing. When you watch 30 minutes of the conversation, you get one angry, ignorant person to come. So they come and paint the presidential yacht as something evil. Whereas the reason why it was called presidential yacht is because it has a very high level of security to help the Nigerian Navy. It's not even because the president will be on the yacht. It's even for the Nigerian Navy. But because you want to push the news, you want to push content, you want to push, they say presidential yacht, 5 billion naira. In when Nigerians are, you understand? And they push a storyline that would make you feel like, so City Boy is our president and he needs a presidential yacht. You understand? And the narrative is like that. So when you sit down,
let me ask this question, yeah? So having established that, what the media does, how does it, what relationship does that have with the complex we are talking about? How has it affected human
Exactly.
life? Let's talk about that.
Exactly. So the thing is, the more you get negative news, the more you don't see anything positive. The more yesterday seems better. So for instance, let's say someone says that let's just use the presidential yacht as an example. Someone says the president's buying a yacht. Wow. You get angry. You will not compare it to the previous administration. I've heard Nigerians a lot of times say, the time of Jonathan, it was a better condition. I've heard people say the time of Buhari is even better than this. That Tinubu's regime is Shege Pro Max. After the previous government showed us Shege, now this Shege Pro Max. I've heard people say that. Why? Because majority of the news they consume is not informing them in the right way. So they think there's a better yesterday. I was listening to Warren Buffett some months ago, and he said he lives in a suburb where every person, like their middle class families, every person in that area has better access to healthcare than millionaires like Rockefeller in their own time. Do you understand what that means? For a human being to sit down and say the past is better than the present, it means that they don't even know how much humans have advanced. You understand? So they don't even have exposure to the
what you're saying, what you just said now, is people who are living in this time have better healthcare, have access to better healthcare than even the Rockefellers and the JP Morgans.
Yes, that were multi-millionaires in that time. The equivalent of their net worth then would be in multi-billions.
Of course.
Right now. That would be the economical value of what they had access to then. And now people, normal people, middle class people, have better access to healthcare than they did. Now, do you look at it? What sort of gadgets were they using to communicate in those days? Even the most wealthy of all of them didn't have mobile access to information.
Not even Skype. They could not even Skype or do Twitter
billion
like
people
that.
on this planet have access to smartphones. Do you know what? Actually, there's 6.8 billion users of smartphones. Let's say on an average, maybe one person has 2, 3. Let's just look at the average. That's over 2 billion humans on this planet having access to a smartphone that can give them direct access to any form of information they choose to type on the gadget. In those days, you had to go miles to go and get access to the most minimal form of information. So this is the thing. It's a matter of you looking at yourself and looking at what you fed your mind with over a period of time. You can be in Nigeria and only see the positives. It depends on how positive, what you expose yourself to positively. And you can be in Nigeria and only see the negatives. You can be anywhere in the world. I've spoken to Nigerians that said they are going for greener pastures, and they get to the greener pasture and they continue complaining. Why was the greener pasture not as good as they thought it was? Because the grass is only green where you decide to wet it. So you can't cast your seed to another part of the world and expect that because you saw it as green from that other side, it should start growing. No, you have to start wetting that grass to make it green. So no matter where you go to in this world, I have a friend that left somewhere in the United States. She left Utah, that's in Salt Lake, and she moved to Chicago. And she tells me that she doesn't ever in her wildest dream go downtown. Meaning that if she really wants to survive, she doesn't dare go downtown. Downtown is where a lot of crime happens. But who will tell you that in Chicago, one of the most popular states in the whole world, is like there's a lot of crime there. In New York City, people get mobbed. In London, people get shot, stabbed for no good reason. But you see now in Nigeria, where you can even go to some part of Bere tonight, like in Ibadan, which is like a very, very crazy place, and you still walk freely, only if you are trying to attract people by getting a lot of jewels on yourself and acting all rich and shiny. You have to know the area you are in. They're going to come up and snatch these things. But you can still even have a free life to live in your country. But you choose bondage because you feel the grass is greener on the other side. Now, the point of this is people expose themselves to certain information. And whatever you expose your mind to is what you become. Do you understand? So for instance, let's look at it this way. If you're in a relationship with someone, you really love them. Fully love them. How does it grow? It grows from the part where you start informing yourself about all the negatives you feel about them. And to be very honest with you, in the next 200 years, if you continue feeling that way, the only thing you see in that person's life is the negative things that they do that are not right. No matter how much. Because our mind is programmed to pick whatever we enlarge. That's how you can see that a person can be dying for you right now, doing everything for you, and the only thing you see is the few that is left that they couldn't accomplish. Because you've exposed your mind. You understand? To just seeing the negatives. And that's the thing, because you fed your mind with negative initially. So the thing is, what do we do as individuals? Is whatever we feed our minds with is what our own reality becomes. So Nigeria can never be a good country to a Nigerian that the only thing he sees is terrible things. There are bad things happening all over the world. Also, there are good things happening all over the world. It depends on what you are feeding your mind with that will help you enlarge that reality into your own self.
You know, one of the biggest crises that I believe plagues any society. Now, speaking of the Nigerian society now, one of our biggest challenge is the kind of information that we have access to. Now, the media, for instance, now is supposed to educate the public. This is how it works. The media is closer to by virtue of their status in the society, they are closer to the first source of things. For instance, government programs, the media folks get to hear about them first. Most of the key important programs or policies that are going to be implemented, are gotten by the media house first. Now, it is the media through the smartphones, the television, the billboard, and all of that now transfer the information, from the first source to the consumers, which are the masses, because the common masses definitely do not have access to the source, to the first source. So the media serves, the purpose is get the information from the source and inform the public. Now, the reason why you are informing the public is because the public, nothing happens without the consent and the participation of the public, whether it's development or retrogression. Now, the problem is the media has lost itself into, there's this thing that attention does to you. Attention makes you feel extremely special, and it makes you feel like you are doing well, or you're doing so much, you are doing great. Now, when media houses over the years realized how interesting, how sweet, and how attention-catchy bad news or bad headlines, how much attention they bring to them, they have lost the essence of their responsibility, which is to educate. Now, they are now in the business. It seems as if they are now in the business of supplying and bombarding the masses, who are supposed to be the drivers. For instance, now, small scale businesses, SMEs, small medium enterprises are the biggest drivers of local economies. They have a lot of roles to play. All these market women, all these the average they have a lot of roles. So, as irrelevant as we think they are, if they are not well informed by media, if their spirits are not lifted by positive interpretation of news, they would just be there and they would have not so much to contribute to society. So, because the media contributed to the distribution of heartbreaking, it's not bad to report, what is going on. If there's an earthquake somewhere, it's okay to report it. I mean, the public has nobody's blaming the deliberate commitment to push out that provokes how the media made this thing look like, the way they wanted attention, one, and of their agenda to bring few billions and millions into their pockets. They are the country by infesting the mind of the citizen with does not exist. The presidential yacht is supposed to be part of is actually owns that particular item of the budget. The president is not Bush, a item. Those in the media are highly educated professionals. They have editors that look into the news item before they are being published, so that they can either mar or make the nation. So they are very careful, and they are very about the kind of hands they. It's not out of ignorance that they reported that sensational. The presidential yacht is garnished with sensationality. It's not out of. So now they know that what is going on in the nation right now is that everybody is kind of, there's the removal of subsidy. Everybody is buying, paying double for whatever you are buying, compared to when you were buying it 3 or 5 months ago. So what the news folks did was to appeal to that. Some of them for clout, some pay-per-view shit show that happens on the internet, the views, because the problem is that the is highly monetized. So whatever news you put out there is going to bring news that you are putting they are placing on Twitter. Once that news helps you hit 5 million impressions and you are verified, you have blue tick on Twitter at the end of the month. So that is few millions of naira is going to bring to them. So they need to appeal. So now and made it look and presented it like Tinubu is going through, the country is going through. After you buying fuel for 600 naira a day, wants to buy a yacht that is going to cruise. They delivered that news so carelessly that they didn't even care about the consequence that could bring. And you see a lot of them persistently doing this. And now tell me, what do you think is going to come out? What level of productivity would come out of a citizenry that is bombarded by negative news? Negative stuff kills human spirit. To kill their spirits, gives them this so much, because everywhere is just, there's no point. So what do you expect from a citizenry that is consistently bombarded with heart-breaking, spirit-breaking information? The media has been doing for centuries, and it makes them a lot of money. When you look at it, there's a lot of money. I mean, if I have a lot of views on my platform as a media house, if you are coming to advertise stuff, I'm going to tell you how many so people you are going to reach, how many millions of people, and I'm going to charge you based on that. You are going to pay me based on that. So they are making a lot of money from this, but they are the country, the society is losing out in very large scale, because the product is dropping drastically because they are being bombarded. So for me, this is the role the media has been playing, and they are not going to stop. They are not going to stop as long as it's even going to get worse, because like I said earlier, the internet is extremely highly monetized. You could make millions, hundreds of millions from the internet just by having a lot of attention, a lot of what they call traffic. And you can't get traffic from humans unless you engage the emotion of fear. And that is what they do. Now, this has created, you could barely, I mean, Arise News had not said anything. I'm using Arise News because they seem to be one of the, biggest out when it comes to but their bias is extremely outspoken. You could see it written all over their operation. There are other media houses that, but I'm using Arise because it's more prominent when it comes to this. You know, especially some of their journalists. I don't know whether it's orchestrated or planned or designed. You know, of course, people set up media houses, you know, just for the purpose of politicians fund media houses. But it's not supposed to be this obvious. You know, so great stuff happen in the country and they don't commit the level of resource they commit, the level of resources, professionalism and what have you, they commit to report bad news. They don't commit a quarter of it to report the good things that are happening around the country, around the world. They don't. They just let all of those ones slide. But when it is negative, they amplify it, and the citizens too, the Alaimo citizens too, they keep sharing and retweeting and blowing it everywhere because, I don't know, you want your society to get better and you are excited when something bad happens. What kind of counterproductive operation is that? The citizens are crying every day, but when there is something good, they start ticking their nose and start getting excited that the country is, you know, going down the drain. And that is the power of this complex, driven basically because this comes through information. Whatever comes to us comes as bits of information. And what controls the information? What controls information? The media house. So when we are talking about this complex, you want to solve the crisis that this complex, this cucumbers complex, the complex that makes you see the world as the world is falling apart. When you are looking out for a solution, what you want to look out most for is the media houses, the kind they get the information that comes through you, where you get it from. Now, media has been extremely decentralized because of social media and internet. Now, when I'm talking about media, I'm talking about your favorite influencers. There are also media powerhouses. Some of them are even more influential than media establishments, the nations and the like. Some of these influencers are, so when we are talking, don't look out for, just look out for the influencers too. The gist lovers of this world, the Tunde Ednuts of this world. You know, you look out for them too. You have to consistently guard, because you cannot, the confidence that you are supposed to use to live on this planet and do great stuff, that confidence is going to be stolen away from you if you keep pumping negativity into your brain. You got to understand that there's a lot of progress that is going on in this world, and unless you embrace it and acknowledge it, you can't do so much. You are going to be among those people who are going to fold their hands. But I tell you, while you are folding your hands, some people are taking advantage of the progress, the enormous progress that is going on in this world. And they are enjoying it. They are cashing out on it. People are making billions, out of, very little effort. Because they understand that this progress is possible. Someone wants to fly all of us into Mars so that we can go and establish a civilization on Mars. That's because the person could only do that because he embraced the idea of progress. He knows that it's possible for the world to get better. A world that does not get better will not fly to Mars, because those rockets, if nothing good is not happening. Look around you. Lots of amazing stuff. The slumest of slums in this country, look at that place. Something good is happening there. Not to talk of urban centers. We can't keep doing this to ourselves. So that being said, I mentioned that while you are folding your hands, while you are depressing yourself because of the kind of information you leak and smooth into your body, into your psyche, while you are doing that, some people are enjoying themselves, having the best of time in that same country that you are. Some people are enjoying the best of life on this same planet that you think is falling apart. I don't even want to go to the religious rationalization. That one is also a dangerous one, apart from the media. The religious rationalization of suffering and doom. That one is also another big deal, because according to every religious person, except you are not a religious person, except you're not part of one of the two major spirituality system in the world: Christianity, Islamism, and what's the third one now? I think Buddhism. Except you're not part of those systems, those systems had already rationalized doom. The world is heading down the drain. No story. That's all. No story. That's it. Now, everybody that is religious subjects their mind to this. They bought this idea that the world is futile. Doing anything is futile. The world is getting worse. Also was that God had, according to them, the Hebrew God had to wipe out the entire planet and leave one man and his family. The world has always, and there's another planned, wiping out that is going to happen very soon, which is going to be preceded by rapture. So the mind of the religious folks has been rationalizing suffering, retrogression, and the idea of progress. The idea that humans can conquer death is inconceivable in their mind, because they know that, no, you are not supposed to be on this earth forever. You are supposed to die. All of us are supposed to be wiped off, and we go to heaven. So you can't, people like that cannot conceive the idea of progress, because in your mind, this earth is just going to fall apart one day. The same thing applicable to our personal lives. Some of them just think that suffering is important, is inseparable from their lives. So when you watch out for the media houses, also watch out for your religious creeds, what they made you believe. Because I will tell you otherwise, based on scientific exploits that has been going on this same earth. All of us were here when humans, you have to, if you cannot give birth through your vagina, forget it. Forget it. Is it that you and the baby die? The baby dies, or someone dies. If you cannot give birth through your vagina. We were all here on this planet when that was the case. But now we've got options. This same planet. Now, all this progress were not recorded in the scriptures. This kind of possibilities, they were miracle. Giving birth from any other platform apart from the woman vagina, it's inconceivable in the days when the exploits of all the biblical or Quranic exploits were being made. But right here on our face, everything, all these things we are talking about in the last 100 years, we see drastic changes happening on this planet. You see possibilities. You see humans. We can. You guys are miles apart from me, and I'm here. I'm speaking, and you can hear me loud and clear. Your husband is going to travel out of the country, leave you miles apart on the family, and every day you are going to see his face. All of this, when the people that the act of apostles was never near this. This was miracles that are far from what was recorded, in the glorious acts of the apostles. That should tell us something. And God has not destroyed, has not killed all of us off. At least the people that were building the Babylonian Tower, God destroyed them. That no, you guys. But we built Skype, we built WhatsApp, we built Twitter, we built rockets, we built plane. God has not destroyed us. That means we are doing well. We're doing something great. Progress, enormous progress going on. So God is great. God, providence is fantastic. We all have that fire that draws us to providence. But don't any part of religious creed that is telling you to dead the idea of progress, you have to dead that particular creed in your mind, because you have to liberate your mind. You have to embrace mentally, you have to embrace progress. That's the only way you can enjoy the bliss, the full option available on this planet. Look at Elon Musk. Because of a lot of resources, first because of the way he thinks is out of this world. He embraced the idea of progress on another level. Look at the exploit he's doing. Look at exploit humans, not gods, not orishas, not malaikas. The exploit humans have done on this same planet. Show me any miracle in any scripture that is near what exploits humans have done in the last 100 years. I mean, if we have the opportunity to write our own Bible, those guys that lived then, that we are saluting now, that they turned water into Kenekon, they parted Kenekon. Those guys should be throwing us salutes right now. So watch out for the media houses that depress you. They depress you with negative news, and watch out for religious creeds that tells you that the world is not going to end. Death is going to be conquered scientifically. Death will be an option. If you want to die, you will have it. Now they say that death, everybody must die, but it's not going to be so forever. It's not going to be so forever. Most of the things that we are doing today, if they tell you we are going to be doing them 50 years ago, it's going to be like, are you crazy? Now, this one too is sounding crazy. It's an are you crazy situation. When I tell you, not me, I'm just reporting what is going on in the scientific world. When I tell you that death is going to be optional, just as giving birth through your vagina is now optional, death is going to be optional. There's no embargo on anything on this life. Progress is the nature of God, of existence, dynamism. So we have to watch out for two things: religious creed that tells you that progress is pointless, and media houses that depress you with negative news. These are two ways to break this cucumbers complex. Let me yield the mic for Richard. You have something to...
Yeah, I'd like to add to what you said. You see, the idea of humans not growing beyond the reality of their circumstance is the reason why a lot of people are stuck where they are. So now, for everyone that has ever lived on this planet or that is living, there's a point in life where they feel like they can't do beyond the reality of their circumstance. Now, it takes people with really great minds to push beyond that point. Now, when Isaac Newton was told about exploring space, he said it was blasphemy before God. Some decades after his death, there was the first man thrown on the moon. Now, if you look at that reality of the circumstance, that was the man that found out that there was a force, that was gravitational force, that pulls everything back to the earth. Telling you that man cannot escape the sphere of his own reality that he has created. Now, when you look at when this guy, what's his name? When Elon Musk wanted to start his business, and he said he was going to be creating reusable rockets and they'll be exploring the solar system. Do you know his biggest antagonist? You would never guess. One of his biggest antagonists was Neil Armstrong, the first man to walk on the moon. Yeah. The guy was like, no, he doesn't like the idea. Why? I don't know to date. And he told one of the news reporters that was Elon Musk trying to explain to him that he broke his heart when he heard that from one of the men that inspired him to want to conquer the colonize Mars and the likes. So imagine your hero telling you that. Because the hero's mind was that, well, nobody should surpass, probably, I'm just trying to guess, to surpass whatever he has created. After they put men on the moon, no one has actually come back to the moon. So his own mind probably like, someone come and break my record because of this young boy's youthful exuberance. You understand? So when we look at our current reality and the circumstance of our current reality, and we use it as a limiting factor for what we can dream of and what we can achieve, it's always something that will hold us back. It takes a very, very great mind to break that. I was telling someone that when a woman tells their child, because I always look at, if you want to give her an excuse and the reason for whatever you're doing and you're trying to just use current reality to talk about it, it's not always a long-term game. Why? Let me explain. Now, imagine a woman telling a child, you this child, you are being stubborn to me that I breastfed you, and you came out from me, blah, blah, blah. What would that kind of mother have over a child in the next 50 years where children don't come out of people and they just clone skin cells? What would you say? You came from my skin. You understand? What will you say when you tell a child, I breastfed you, when it becomes irrational, when the child we don't take breastfeed. No more. We are fed nutrition through tubes and the likes in other systems. So it's more of you looking at it that in a long-term time, a lot of things that we hold on to right now will not become our reality. Jesus Christ, according to the Christendom, sent out people to countries to go and preach the gospel. Now, people just do what? Send messages. Do you understand? The amount of development that has happened. Now, in the last 100 years, the sporadic development of humanity, whatever we achieved in the last 100 years, which was very, very fast, it will take us another 5 years to achieve probably over 20 times whatever we achieved in the last 100 years. Why? Because technology is always at that
exponential.
Speed. Now, when people and when people look at their reality and they can't think beyond that, they limit themselves. And what makes them limit themselves? The things they feed their minds. Like you also said, religion plays a very, very large factor. Imagine someone telling you that it's end times. When you ask them why, they say because now people are not afraid to sin openly. People are not afraid to show their bodies online. I would not lie. I was telling someone, a very close friend of mine, that it's easier for us to say things are worse now. Why? Because we're exposed to a lot of information. So for instance, prostitution was a really big deal in the old times. Prostitution was one of the most oldest professions. And a lot of women, even some that are married, behind a lot of things to do, a lot of promiscuous things. But it wasn't as widespread because the information was not everywhere. Now, if you see a person cheats in China, where we don't even understand Chinese, if a person cheats and she's caught on camera, in less than 5 seconds of the person posting that news, someone in a remote village in Chad can see that information. So that if that's the type of information that person is exposed to, the person will keep telling you that all women cheat. Do you understand? Because of the way he has conditioned his mind. Now, you only say it is end time because every time you open I actually had to reduce the amount of information some even family members and even friends send to me. I tell them, if you're going to send me an information, don't send me something that is anti my reality. I don't want to hear things about money ritual. I don't want to hear things about Yahoo. I don't want to hear, in your mode of trying to correct certain notion, you're actually propagating it. How do I tell you to stop killing without informing you about killing in the first place? Do you understand? So instead of me telling you about, because our brain, the first time you say, don't do this, don't steal, your brain has only picked the word steal. So instead of you giving your brain that information about stealing, tell your brain something like, take what is only yours is a better way to inform yourself consciously to only be contented with what is yours than for you to tell yourself, do not steal. Do not steal shows you that there's the probability of stealing. So when you are faced with options, you might choose stealing. Do you understand how you program your mind? Program your mind with words that are positive rather than negative. I was saying something the last time. I was like, I used to feel very tired at a point in my life because every time I got home from a long day, I used to say, I don't tired, die. And my mind started tiring me out. I realized that on days when I come back and I'm like, wow, I still have a lot of energy. I do more, and I'm able to be even more productive. Now, what was the difference? It was just the difference in words. You understand? And the difference in information I fed my mind. So if we are not limiting ourselves with the circumstances of our current reality, we can actually develop beyond whatever it is. And how do we change our reality? By changing the amount of information or the type of information we allow to our mind. You will say, end time. We're in the end times. No human in this world experienced what happened in World War II. That's over 100 years ago. If I'll do the math correctly. I mean, almost 100 years now. Almost 100 years now, no human being on this planet has experienced the amount of cruelty that happened in World War II. And you tell me it's end time. Was it end time almost 100 years ago? No. It was the amount of information. Even some people, you know the funny thing? During Biafra war in Nigeria, let's take Nigeria as a case study. In the southwest, when Igbos were even going through a tough time, because of lack of information spreading very fast, there were parties going on in southwest. Not because they were celebrating what was happening to Igbos, they were just living a normal life. Like people were having good time. They were just like, there's no one bill, let's go and eat chicken. People were having a good time because information was not spreading fast. You understand? So the amount of imagine if that kind of thing should happen in Nigeria right now again. I'm sure nobody will want to go to a party. Because the information that will be flying around make you feel like Nigeria is one of the most war-torn country in the world.
Sorry, let me buttress that. Sorry, I'll just put this in and step out. When Mohbad, blessed memory, when he died, the day he died, 12th of September, do you remember how Burna Boy got to here?
It was on live, Instagram live.
That's it. The guy was miles away from the country, I believe.
Yes, it was not even in Nigeria.
We got it on the spot, right on a live video, and it was like the facial reaction when he saw it. You could tell that he was just getting to know. Even though it was hours apart, he was not turning on the TV. He was not putting radio by the side of his cheek. He got the information right there. So.
Yeah, let me bust it. I was not in Nigeria also. I broke the news to my friends and families that were with me. In that instance that happened. How did I get information? On WhatsApp.
Simply.
And I went to confirm online. And I told them, I said, Mohbad is dead. And there were some people that were there that day did not even know that. They did not even know who Mohbad was. Like, started explaining, this is Mohbad, the song he has sang. And they're like, we know these songs. And they started connecting. And before we knew it, almost every day when you go online, you saw a news about Mohbad's death. And it felt like there was something extraordinary and so super that was happening. Whereas it was just we were conditioning our mind. You see, Mohbad everywhere. You feel like, there's something so spiritual about it. But the truth is, it's because of what we're exposing our minds to. So at one point, I stopped.
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
Successful and we're becoming a worldwide star. Imagine every young person in Nigeria
You're breaking.
that his death was not natural. It might have been natural right now, but the information that was going around was too negative for you to even see any positive thing happening even in the country.
Mm-hmm.
That was how dark it was. We can remember when Da Green died, there was not a lot of to spread news. Mm-hmm. But for a while people felt sad too about his death. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't as deep as Mohbad. Mm-hmm. Why? Because now Instagram is very common, WhatsApp is common. Everything, almost all young people in Nigeria that could connect to that news have a gadget to spread news. Mm-hmm. And it now start affecting your own reality as a young person too. That what if why would I have to even try hard? Because if I try now, they probably will kill me. You understand? And you stop trying to become the best you can be. So that's the thing. So the things we inform our minds with, it might not make any sense to us. Mm-hmm. I was telling someone that I literally trained the algorithm of my Instagram. When I go on Instagram now, I have some jokes that I see some tech things. I see things that affect my own life. Anything that I see, that doesn't affect me
Report
positively, I use it. I said no. I tell Instagram I'm not interested. They will try to cut such things
I
away from because they're
report
trying to
them.
make me
I
addicted.
just report them. That's what I do.
Exactly. So they try to, they're trying to also make me addicted to using their platform.
Yeah.
So I use that algorithm against them to help them cipher out
Fair
things
view.
that I would be seeing. So the more you, like on YouTube, the more you dislike a type of content, they don't bring it up for you again. So most of when I'm on YouTube, I'm seeing information about things that are happening in the world, things that connect to what I'm doing. I'm seeing updates. So I'm one of the most updated people because of how I choose to use social media. So if you look at the reality of your life and you let external forces inform you with all sort of negativity, there's no way you can progress positively. That's the thing. And like you said, one of the things you said tonight that was very, very deep was the fact that human would conquer death. Now, I've sat down and I've looked at the reality of the world we are living in. The lifespan of people some 100 years ago is not what it is now. A lot of people will tell you, people lived older in the young days because of trees and things, but they didn't. The funny thing is they don't even know the reality of people that lived in those days
at all.
How a sickness as simple as malaria was wiping out chicken pox, wiped out a whole group of people, made them a minority in the country where they were actually majority.
Look at the Incas.
You can't hear that.
How Spanish flu killed all of them, their civilization.
Yes, the people in Aztec were wiped out by Spanish flu.
Yeah.
You understand? So if people, the funny thing about people is also they tell you the past is good because they listen to the past from a perspective that wants to project it as good. They don't listen to the stories and the reality of people. They don't read the history that made people feel like it was good and see the terrible things that happened in the past. You understand? Imagine a young person that was born in 1920. Imagine 1920. From 1920 to where he turned 40. He has seen wars that have ruined a lot of things. He has seen Great Depression that happened in 1929 to 1930. He has seen a lot of terrible things. Can you not tell me that you as a young person that your biggest pain in the ass is no data? It's having a terrible life compared to someone that went to wars.
And that makes life hell. Let me add this. Let me do a crash course of what's life, using Nigeria as an example, or what life was 100 years ago in Nigeria. 100 years ago in Nigeria, you are probably living in a house made of mud, probably. Or let me say 150 years. Yeah. You are most of the population. So I'm going to be talking. I'm not talking about the 1%ers, the few people that had some. I'm talking about the majority now. So when I say you, I'm talking about the majority of the world. Now, 100 years ago, you're probably living in a house made of mud. There's no plastering in your room. You don't have a room of your own. You don't have a bed. You sleep on mats. There's no fence around your home where you live. There's no fence. You don't have fence. And now you think you are secured because the person living next to you is your kindred. It's probably your cousin or your brother or your uncle. So you feel and all of that. Yeah. But what you don't know is that while you are feeling safe living around your brother, your uncles, and all of you people, a king from neighboring village can decide
wants to go and
warriors invade your village and kill everybody, including you. Now, when you make
and if it spares you, it will take you as a slave.
If you didn't die, you are going to become a slave. Yeah. And maybe probably when you became a slave, you now got to hear the gists of why they actually came to your village to kill everyone. And what you are going to hear is that the prince of that village, the son of the king, was winking a particular girl in your village, and the girl spat
Do not agree.
Did not agree and spat on his face. And because of that, or the prince was passing and one of your villagers, one of your kingsmen, walked past and did not greet him. And because of that, he marshaled the army of his father. And that was what was happening. That was what 100 years ago looks like. The king can decide to behead anybody just because they did not greet. Now, another thing is there is going to be, for instance, now they call something in Yoruba. I don't know what they call it in other climes. And that is people having bruises, and the wound will refuse to heal. And back then,
infected wounds.
Yeah, back then they consider it as spiritual, and they started doing all sorts. Now today, people got to know that thing is actually diabetes. Simply, and if you detect it early, you could cure it. You understand? So the cheap, I don't know why everyone centers development around food, the price of food. The fact that you had cheap Gari was cheap back then, 100 years ago. You had access to breadfruits.
Let me even add something. During World War II, Gari it was legal to sell Gari in Nigeria. During World War II.
Yeah, it was.
If you sold Gari in Nigeria, you'll be put in prison because it was a heavily taxed commodity.
Exactly.
So how many Nigerians know that? You understand? I would say Gari was because you have Gari cheap. There was a time in Nigeria that Gari was a very scarce commodity that you had to pay through your nose for.
So fast forward to today, majority of the families, last week what we talked about, if you remember, we talked about levels, I highlighted 4 levels from Hans Rosling's book, 4 levels of people's economic class, We talked about how many people are actually living in each level. Now, about 100 years ago, 95% of all of us were living at level 1. Now, look at today, how many of us have, moved from level 1 to level 4. And that's how progress works. We live in houses now. We have TV. Some of us, TV was a luxury for a village then.
Yes, no.
Radio was a luxury for a village then. But now, if you go to an average village, you have people with torchlight phones that has radio, and they have earpiece. They have money. Imagine a poor man in the village having an access to a miracle, being able to afford a miracle such as a phone. And that same man is going to turn around and say the world is heading towards doom. Can't we see? Is it not obvious that the world is heading towards divinity? This 100 years to come, like you said, because it took us 100 years to get to put one man, or not 100 years, because it took us, let's say, thousands of years to put someone on the Mars, on the moon. It don't mean it will take us more than 5 years to conquer Mars. You understand? Because development happens exponentially. What has happened in the last 50 years is more than the whole of the progress that happened in the last 1,000 years. And that's how development works. So we want to be careful to not buy. The media will sell it to you. Religious establishment will rationalize it to you, but do not buy it. The word is the gap between the development gap between 2023 and 1901 is miraculous.
Yes.
So don't let anyone deceive us. Yes, the naira was one naira to $1 some years ago, but Look at the economic context of that some years ago. Whatever that year is, if you know it, go and check back. Look at the economic context of those times. What it took. Can you even earn 1 naira in 1 month?
Then, exactly. And let me even add this to what you just said now. So we traveled to a country some months ago, and we were like, wow, why is this country so backward? This is Nigeria in the 90s.
Imagine that.
Do you understand what that has to be?
Yeah.
That means that in the 90s, where people were talking about 1 naira equals 1 kobo, in the 80s, they're about there's a country that their current state is Nigeria in those era where you felt was a good and developed country. You understand? So if people talk about development, they talk about it. You see, that's the thing. The common man talks about growth from the perspective of how much he can use to feed his belly.
Yeah.
An elite helps him propagate that feeling because of how much the common man can generate for him to be able to not just feed his belly but change his own reality. Do you understand? So for instance, like I said initially, I said a man that can liquidate his fixed deposit account to give money to a common man's child that wants to leave the country at a rate of between 3 to 4 or 8% for just 1 month, where even the bank cannot give him that for his FDA. It's going to propagate that living in Nigeria is a good idea. You understand? Because it's making profit off of it. The traveling agency will propagate that living in Nigeria is a good idea. Why? Because by the time you spend almost 20 million naira trying to relocate, selling your property, the traveling agency will make profit off of you. That's how they are in business. It's just like someone that is saying that the doctor told him that he must take certain drugs every 2 days. Now, when you look at some drugs, they are propagating you to finish it quickly. It's like, come and buy that one. Because your health, you know that your health is very important to you. Just the same way, you can't, the news, like for instance now, I always tell people, I say, whenever I listen to the news, you have to know where they are trying to head you to. And also, one thing I forgot to add is, you should understand or know who is paying for the news. If you can't wait to be manipulated for long, go and look at who is sponsoring the news. Once you understand who is sponsoring the news, you know their agenda, you know their utmost goals, and you know where they're trying to lead you to. So if you can't wait for manipulation to continue, just go and look at who is paying for the news. So imagine I paid that they should say Dark Web Media is a bad media house. And they're doing that and everybody's saying you like that and they're coming to fight you. My own end goal, I've already paid for it.
Yeah.
It's not the funny thing is, there's something one of my uncles used to say. He says, like when you hear a person say something, like any spiritual thing, there are people called actors. Meaning that, for instance, someone lay a curse on you, it's not probably the person that will enforce that curse. They're actors. They might be spiritual beings, they might be physical beings, whatever they are. They're the one that will go and orchestrate things that will make that curse come to pass. Do you know what the actors in every negative news that sells? It's the media, it's the masses.
Yeah.
The masses are the actors. So you see, the elite profits from these things. For instance, I was looking at one of the presidential candidates. Let's just leave his name out of the context, but he always wear black around. Maybe it was mourning the death of our nation. The thing he said, whenever he pushes an agenda, he rushes towards the masses. And on his platform, on his Twitter, he was raising funds. Even way after campaign.
Baba no commodity.
That was the only thing that was pinned on his Twitter account. Way after campaign. Do you understand what that is? So all his storyline, he was raising funds. And the masses was blinded. But who were the actors that were helping him raise funds? The masses. So when you see the elite that knows better, now this is the thing, I learned a strategy that the elites use on the masses. They call it dumbing things down. So you will hear a person that is highly intelligent, it would say something that sounds very dumb, but you as an elite will say, why would you say this kind of thing? You are way intelligent than this, but you are not his audience. You that are the elite that is very intelligent, you are not his audience. You are the one that know math, you can calculate. But the masses are the actors in it. If I want to start a riot in Nigeria, I don't need the elite to come and be elite. You don't even see the elite on the street.
Elites don't do that.
I have to just get, let's say, maybe 5,000 young people that are hungry or that don't have anything to do. I just get them to mobilize other 5,000, one person each. That's another 10,000 people together. They can disrupt a state.
So we are moving to
And who
the
have
elite.
the finance
We are
to
moving.
sponsor such things?
We are moving to the elite.
Pardon?
We are moving to the elite part now. So that's good.
Okay.
It's good we are going to the direction already. So we've talked about how the masses, the masses, the chunk of the population, the human population, we've talked about established how they've been infested by the cucumbers complex. Where they are distracted from the present, where the main drama, the main idon is happening. They are distracted from the present, shut up back into the past or into the future that does not exist yet. While the 1% are enjoying and living their lives in the present, they are focused on the present. For them, it's about the present and maybe the future, and they know that the future is secured in the proportion that they secure today. So they are much more, concerned about what is happening today. While the masses believe that, it's either the future or the past. The present is a shit show, So now, how are the elites? How are they, cashing out on this? And the masses are not unaware. Let's just touch that, briefly. Using realistic.
Okay. So capitalism cannot sell without consumerism.
Great.
Do you understand? So there's no way capitalism can sell without consumerism. But what's the best way to push consumerism is by pushing scarcity. And what's the best way to push scarcity is by informing people that certain things will not last forever. Do you understand? So the idea is that if I'm to sell 10,000 pigs, I will let you know that for these pigs, there's something happening in the pig world. This might be the last set of pigs you ever see that have 4 legs. The next ones that will be coming, they will have 2 legs, they will have whatever, they will have some sort of deformation. So quickly purchase these ones so that you can still be the last piece of people that have the realest pigs on it. That is going to push consumerism because people will rush it sharp. Now, how do you help people run to making decisions even without thinking through? Continually bombard them with negativity that will inspire them to make choices. Now let me blow your mind. There's this time when I was a child, like there was this Obasanjo, he came to Ikeja cantonment, blah blah blah. There was a lot of people that died in Ketu. Ikeja cantonment exploded. People died in Ketu. Why? They said they were jumping into canal because they had the explosion.
That was true.
Imagine people in Ketu jumping into canal because
explosion in Ikeja.
You understand? Now, what does that tell you? It shows that the human mind is always going to try to run away from danger in any way possible, because one thing we are wired to do naturally, our hardwiring is to survive. You understand? And negativity is a way that people get the right amount of dopamine to make spontaneous decisions. Do you understand? So, for instance, a person will not really think through something clearly because they've been loaded and bombarded with a lot of negativity. That they don't see anything good than to make a decision that is probably going to be more discomforting for them in a very soon time. But because it seems like a better option, they make it. I like using the traveling ideology because it's one of the most biggest plaque, or is it biggest issues that is affecting Nigeria currently. Because look at it this way. One of the reasons why people travel out of this country is because they've seen that there's nothing good they can benefit from this country than to leave it. And who are the people that earn from these things? Traveling agencies, other countries,
and countries.
There's the one migrating to governments,
Canadian governments, they are all cashing out.
Exactly, people that are making money off of their bank statements. Countries that are even increasing their visa prices now. Why? And even you filling their forms right now because they have seen the opportunity that people want to migrate to their countries. Now they're trying to even put up some sort of gate to ensure that they're even making more money from it. UK had some financial crisis. What did they do? They said they want to increase price of their visa because they know that people are trooping in. They're making more money off of you. So they'll keep promoting to you that their country is better. They'll keep using your own travel agencies and your own media to show you that there's nothing good about your country because they're making money off of you. Do you understand? So this is the thing. If you look at it, the elite understands the wiring of a common man. A common man's priority is survival. There's nothing beyond survival. Is the point whereby a person doesn't even think about the future, reminisce about the past to get some sort of dopamine, and try to just make spontaneous decisions without thinking through the consequence. And who benefits from this? Capitalism, because of consumerism. Because people would have to just quickly spend, quickly make decisions because they can't think through a lot of things. And who is the biggest loser? It's the one that is parting away with their Jews. That's the ones that are parting away with their money, their emotions to fund things. You see now, go and post something on Twitter or this and say Nigeria to train 6,000 young people on blah blah blah. The comments that will be most commented on that will be comments that are negative. That will say that you are planning to train people when people have not had the right to eat in 2 weeks. Imagine. They're trying to equip people to be able to have a better life, but people are there commenting how negative the price of rice is in recent times. You understand? I saw one news agency that said the president is buying a yacht of 5 billion, and the total student loan budget is 5.5 billion. Do you understand what that person just did? They're trying to promote that the president is very insensitive to the reality of Nigerians, that he's even spending a lot of money on yachts. Whereas if you read the news properly, you will see that was not what the yacht was meant for. It was called presidential yacht because it had a very, very high security detail that could be compared to a presidential yacht. But for the Nigerian Navy, you understand? So people don't really. The thing is that, and now who would profit from such news? The media house. Who are the owners of the media house? The elite. You can't see a poor man owning a radio station or a TV station. And the more the traffic they get, the more the money they get to promote more negative news that will make money for the elite. It's a vicious circle. You understand? Because the more the money they get from people that are paying to sponsor those news, the more the money they will get because of the traffic they will drive. So they can never stop. And what's the best way to counter this whole thing is to be able to know what you feed your own mind as a unit consumer of information. You understand? And that's the thing. So you have to be able to tear through the facade of whatever they're trying to create for you and see the reality for your own self. You understand? By weighing opinions and options of different people and choosing the one that is best for your reality to help you grow. That's the thing. So the elite is going to strategically always ensure that the masses are controlled by the amount of information they are exposed to. In this era, it's more difficult because information is almost everywhere. There's some very, very high level information that you don't know anything about until you're in a certain circle. And I will know, like, you can't even find them on the internet. The elites are very, very careful about it because there's certain information that goes to the out of the masses and they will just ruin a lot of things for the elites. You understand? So they keep those things very dear. You can't, except maybe one of them go rogue. You know, that's the thing about humans. The only reason why the masses are not yet enslaved in the vision of some of the elites is the fact that a lot of them don't agree with those things. So there are a lot of people with different opinions in the elite bracket that would not let a unification of ideas to trickle down to the masses. So that's why we have different areas, different parts. The day every one of the elites come together and say, this is what we'll do, we're going to do it together, the masses are done for. So you understand? So this is the thing. So for you to not be a mercilessly used masses, you have to learn to inform yourself with the right amount of things that would help you grow.
Amazing.
Not help you move slow.
Amazing.
You understand? Because the masses will the elite will constantly benefit from the ignorance of the masses.
Exactly.
And that's true. But the thing is, for you to be able to leave that bracket, you have to start feeding yourself the right things to grow. So when they tell you, so normally when you hear a news, you ask yourself, what is this trying to help me do? Is this trying to help me understand better a good reality or a negative reality? Who's going to benefit from this nonsense that's been pushed to me? And just like some few minutes ago, Burna Boy posted something concerning he said he wants all these blogs and media houses to forget his name. The headline on Insta blog was Burna Boy wants to pay people to totally forget him. Do you understand what that is? That's a very vicious attack on the brand of Burna Boy. For anyone that has a deep reason, that means he's trying to say that this boy doesn't want anybody to remember him because he wants to be forgotten. Do you understand? But the thing is that for a person like me, I can decipher that that's a vicious attack. For other people, they say, "Hey, Burna Boy is ungrateful. Why would he say that?" You understand? But that's not what the guy said. Because it seems like the blogs are already dragging him again. So it's like he doesn't want them to remember him. You get so most of the masses are actually tools in the hands of the what is it called?
The elite.
In the hands of the elite, but they don't know that. Why? Because they don't have trained minds to see to. If you know the amount of outrage on the streets in Nigeria because of the presidential yacht, as I did for yesterday, you would think the president. Some people who said, we have a city boy as a president. Why are we worried about presidential yacht? When I also saw the news, the way it was going, I was like, this is a wrong move by our president. But I went deep to go and read, and I was like, it's not what even that's not what it means.
Exactly.
You understand? So if you're not careful, you would be a tool in the hand of the elite, and they make a lot of profit off of you. Because what is capitalism without consumerism? And how do you push consumerism? By bombarding people with a lot of scarcity mindset. And when they have that scarcity mindset, you start to gain.
The price goes up. You could sell sand.
Exactly.
If you said water that is supposed to sell,
sand.
That is supposed to sell 10 naira, you could sell it 10 million naira if you can. Depends on the intensity at which you can push the scarcity to show to them. Let's hear from I want cryptocurrency to contribute to this conversation. I don't know if you are there. He's requested for the mic quite some time now. Cryptocurrency, we want you to be a part of this conversation, sir. I guess it's not here. So what I wanted to add to what Richard was saying is concerning how it works with the elite 1% population and the rest. There's always the 1% and the rest. I don't know what to call them, but let's just call it the rest. So naturally, what this complex does is it puts everything is cognitive. Everything happens in the mind. Whatever we do in terms of action is just a reflection, a direct reflection of what is happening and going on in our mind. So what's the complex, the kind of state of mind it puts us is that natural animalistic state where it's either you fight or you run, fight or flight. So the way the commoners interpret and relate with their society is at the flight or fight, mode. For them, it's either you fight or you flight or you run, and they never see life beyond that. That is why you look at it, the same thing the 1% does is the same thing the 99% does, but they just do it differently. For instance, now, the 1% guy wants to feed the world and then starts an agricultural company. He's not going to touch anything. He's not going to till the ground. He's just going to employ a commoner that wants to feed himself. And that's it. They are both farmers, but they are doing it for different reasons. One is trying to survive, trying to thrive and conquer, dominate the territory. The other person is just trying to, survive, try to just fight. I have to fight, Why the other man is at peace? The other man can decide to, okay, I have 5,000 naira with me. This 5,000 naira, instead of me to go and use it to buy foodstuff, instead of me to use it to buy foodstuff to eat, if I use it to buy foodstuff and not eat, and then sell it, this 5,000 naira, I can turn it into 10,000 naira. And then I'll have more money. So I can hit with that 5,000 naira, continue doing business with the, profit of 5,000 naira I made. That's at the small scale. But when you blow that up, whatever happens in the entrepreneurship world, that is how it works. It's about some people not fighting. It's being calm and ready to, while the commoner is eating his own seed, the 1%er, they are sowing their seed. They are putting it in the ground and expecting it to come back up in folds. The other guy has eaten his own. So it boils down to the fact that wherever you think you are, the 1% thing we are talking about is a state of mind, is a state of the mind. It has to happen in your mind. You have to be a 1%er in your mind first, before you become it in reality. So even though you are not there yet, put yourself there. That's why they tell you that think the way the billionaires think. How do they think? If you can hack into that, you got it. It's just going to be a matter of time. If all you need to do is, look at the Poor Dad, Rich Dad, Poor Dad book. It's just telling us that everything is just about the way the rich guys think and the commoners. That's what makes all the difference. The poor dad thinks a certain way and it has certain results. The rich man thinks a certain way and has certain results. So we as people, if you are infected, it's very easy to be infected so long you are living in this world. You are groomed, through different processes to have this complex, to believe that the world, don't make any efforts, don't disturb yourself. The world is crashing down, and then you are in that mode of fighting and running and fighting all of the time, So you want to reverse that and calm down. The way those 1%ers operate is, for instance, in Africa, we have a lot of mineral resources deposits. But what do we do with them? In the spirit or in the mode or state of mind of scarcity, fighting and flighting, surviving, we sell everything off and collect money, use the money to eat. Why these guys will take the thing and refine it, take their time. They are not in rush. They are not going to buy it from you and immediately go and sell it to another person, maybe at higher price. They are going to take their time, calm down, delay a lot of their gratifications, and refine that into something better, increase the value of that thing, and then sell it. And that's what entrepreneurs do. That's what the 1%ers do. Take their time, refine what the commoners would already put in his mouth and consume. They are not, just like Richard said, they are not quick to consume. They are very, very strategic at producing. So the rich and the poor, they are both servants, but they serve differently. The rich guys, they serve the world as masters from the point of view of masters, while the commoners serve the world from the point of view of slaves. And that's what makes all the difference in their results. So the 1%, like I said earlier, the 1%ers cashing out in this same world, on this same planet, they are making progress. And that is an evidence that progress can be made by each and every one of us too. We just have to put our state of mind, take it away from the flight, because negative news and everything that is happening around you, what does it do to your mind? It makes you feel like fighting and running. That is why some people, they named something, they named it jackpot. people, when I talk about this, people don't really understand it. There's a that thing is a concept. Where does it come from? It has a lot of meaning. Japa it's
Flight mode.
It's flight mode. You know, there's difference between
It's the word of the masses.
There's difference between migrating and giant back.
Exactly.
You don't get. It's different, completely different. It's a state of mind. If you migrate, you are different from someone that jack back. They named it right. And what's their excuse? The country is burning down. The country is, everything is falling apart. You know, so that mindset, and that is what this complex does to us. It puts you, that's why when they get to these lofty countries that they feel is so glorious, when they get there, they are still in that mode, that fight or flight mode. You can't take it away unless you take it away. It can't go away rather unless you take it away. It cannot go away. You have to engineer it out of, because you are going to watch CNN and their local news station there too. You are going to be shocked when you start hearing that one neighbor. I watched one glorious video on Twitter this week, I think on Monday or so, where a neighbor, because they said, I don't know whether it's true, but the headline was they were fighting over noise pollution. Maybe someone was making, and he took a gun and shot the man and the son, shot them, not one or two bullets into their chest. He even went, and so when you get to this country, you'll now be shocked, you know, that there's gun violence, there's deep, serious drug abuse issue, there is government irresponsibility. You'll be shocked when you hear from the citizens what they think about their government that you think are so glorious. You know, so now you've left Nigeria, you've left Togo, you've left Ghana to this amazing, seemingly amazing country, and you got there and you are hearing something else. You'll be shocked. You know, because you didn't go there for the right reason. You didn't migrate, you jackpot to the place. You know, so do well to take your mind off that mode, that flight and fight mode. You know, that's the only way you can see opportunities around you, even though you can see the world physically crashing down. Let's assume it does. But you'll still be able to stay and solve the problem and make profits out of it. And that's how it works. That's how the 1%ers have been taking advantage of everything. And you know what they do? When they make the exploit, they are not going to tell you the commoner. You have to discover it yourself. You have to put yourself in that mode, because they don't even want you to leave that fight or flight mode. If you, like Richard said, if you leave that mode, you are going to stop being a consumer, a sporadic consumer. You know, do you know how much commoners spend on betting every day? Do you know how much commoners spend on alcohol every day? You know, when you leave that mode, that flight or fight mode, they are not going to make money from you anymore. So they don't want you out of that mode. And they do everything they can to keep you in that mode. You are the one who got.
You don't do bad investments.
What you said?
You become a bad investor.
Yeah. Become bad.
Once you leave that mode.
Yeah, you're not going to be useful to them anymore. So they want you right there. They sponsor USSAID or whatever they call themselves. They come to Africa. USAID. Come to Africa, run programs. UNICEF come to Africa, run programs. That you think, because we interpret everything with money, currency, and that's it. What do we do with our natural resources? We convert it to money and spend the money. That's it. So when we see money, when we see food, when we see bags of rice and all of that, when we see food, we're looking for it. When they see when they see money coming, US aid bringing money to Africa, we're so excited, and we forget that we have the responsibility. So as individuals, we are talking to ourselves as Africans, African leaders. At this time, the world is desperate. Global leaders are looking for solutions to big problems, climate change problems. One of the biggest deal. And to solve that problem, they need a lot of alternative means of getting energy. And to get that done, they need a lot of mineral resources, which most of them are deposited here in Africa. So African leaders cannot afford to operate at that flight or fight mode when they are on the negotiation table. They have to sit down on that table as a 1%er that wants to conquer and dominate, that wants to understand and conquer the territory. So that they are not freaked out by $700 billion when they hear $700 billion deal. They are not freaked out. Their memory does not wipe off when they hear exorbitant amount of money in dollars. So they sit on the negotiation table confidently, thinking in terms of value and not in terms of cash or what have you. So it's very important. So as individuals, we must get rid, as a continent, must get rid of that as well. And if we can do that, there's a lot of exploits we can do here in this country, here on this continent. The world, like I said earlier, world leaders are desperate. They are desperately looking for solutions to solve their problem. Their economies are collapsing. Their economies are collapsing drastically. They are looking for solutions. They are looking for alternatives. They are looking for alternative settlements. Some of them, it's very expensive to go to relocate to Mars, but it's cheaper to relocate to Nigeria. So we don't want to be in that mode of consumers. Let's be on the table as producers. Value was it proposed to bring to the table, and that way we'll be able to transform not just our society, but the world at large. So I would I'll do my parting words. When I'm done, I'll yield the mic to Richard to also do his parting words. So I want to part this conversation with the story, but the story of the young Malawian boy, I think it's Williams Kakwamba. Yeah. The boy who harnessed the wind. It talks about the story of a poor boy whose father was pay his school fees and all of that. But one day he saw the teacher had and that bicycle, when the bicycle pedal winds, as a bicycle pedal winds, a light comes on somewhere on the bike. That is, the winding of the bicycle's pedal generates some form of illumination somewhere. He noticed that, and went to the teacher. That is, he was able to spot progress. He was able to spot something, the possibility or something, and then went to the teacher that owns the bike and asked that. He noticed that comes on, and then the teacher said, yes, that's electricity, generated by wind power and all of that. Do I need to create that? This is a true life story. The story was also, turned into a movie. It's on Netflix, The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. And the teacher told, right, now, when he said he's going to do that for his village, because whenever it's dry season, it's impossible for them to farm because there's no water. So he felt he could bring water, he could channel water
into the communities through electricity. And then he said the teachers should tell him what he needs. So he got all the items, but he needs some part of his, some metals and all of that. He looked around and said, where can I get this? And remembers that his father has a bicycle. And he built a model, a small prototype of that, that innovation that he thought about. He was able to build a small prototype that he showed his father that this is possible. If we can do this, the community would always be, will never suffer, they can farm anytime because there's going to be a supply of water. And then he showed his father and said, I want to build a beyond. The father was like skeptical. Okay, go ahead and build it. He said, to build it, you are going to have to sacrifice your bicycle. And the father went mad. What do you mean I should sacrifice my bicycle? You know how much this bicycle means to me. This is what I used to move around, to move some of the heavy stuffs around. And you want me to sacrifice it for an idea that might not even work? And the boy who had already embraced progress, that saw the world beyond what it was in the village. He saw broader possibilities that everyone was not seeing, and then he convinced his father. And the father, because of the fiery conviction that he spotted in the boy, decided to let go of his bicycle. All right, let's see. And then gave the bicycle, sacrificed the bicycle, to this boy. Took the bicycle, pieces everything, disassembled everything, and they started building the stuff. And lo and behold, they were able to build it, and water came to the, community, and the boy became a champion. He became a great man up to date. Now, this is a boy who was able to transform, bring about change, development, because first, he embraced change. Secondly, he was able to put what the change, he embraced progress, embracing projects, he was able to enact it, implement it, try it out. Because of the progress he was able to see, he saw the possibility that progress is possible. That was the starting point for him. And then he implemented it, worked towards that progress, and made certain sacrifices. And then he was able to achieve that. That is the mood we want to be in as a people, as a society. We must look at other climes and see the progress going on there. We must, at the individual scale, we must look at other people's lives and see the progress they are making, and use that as a point of contact, point of belief that progress is possible. And then we should embrace it and acknowledge it. When we do, we should not just let it end there. We should try to implement that progress in our lives and in our society, regardless of what the news is saying. If that boy had focused on the realities around him, he's never going to be inspired to do better for his community. If you keep chunking in news from Arise TV, from Sahara Reporter, from NTA, from AIT, you're not going to do better. You have to ignore those negative news that keep telling you that this country, this continent, this world is falling apart. You have to focus on the kind of news that the 1%ers that they focus on, the kind of news that inspire progress, that fires you up, that makes you believe that whatever is happening, this world is a buffet. You're going to get what you demand for, regardless of what. That it is not natural for the world to decline. Based on facts, if we want to count, the world has been moving forward in a drastic and exponential way. And you have to tap into that. That alone should be your reality.
ignore and filter out all those depressing news, all those religious creeds that put your mind at constant state of rest. You need to fire yourself up. And just like William Kwakwamba embraced the idea of progress and brought that progress into his community, you want to do the same. So that you gradually, even if you cannot hit the 1%, point in your own lifetime, you would set the precedent for your lineage, for your children, for your children's children. If you cannot become a 1%, please, you should be able to put your lineage on the path of becoming 1%ers one day. Because the 1%ers did not become, some of them, it took their lineage 3 generations before they became 1%ers. You can start now, and that is, what you should do. Richard, I yield the mic for you to do your closing remarks.
Yeah, so one thing I always say at the beginning of most of our events is one of our duty with this movement is to help rewire crooked minds. Okay. So now, the idea that you want to limit yourself by the reality of your current circumstance is a very lazy way to view life. Laziness is not a matter of you sitting back and doing nothing. You can be doing something that is not worthwhile, like feeding your mind with a lot of junks that will not help you develop. And you can be hardworking in all the wrongest way possible. But here's the thing: the way those people that are propagating negative news are very persistent and consistent should be the same way you'll be persistent and consistent with filtering out the things you need. Now, you can't totally block yourself off of news. You become a misinformed or de-informed person. So there's misinformation, there's deformation, there's also information. So you have to choose what you feed your mind with, so that you will not be in a country where things are happening and you don't know what's happening. Because Juno and Richard said that I should not listen to bad news and not listen to you. I will just focus on myself. But how do you get informed if you don't know what's happening around you? There are other things there are other ways. We even went further by creating Positive News Nigeria, where you only see positive news about Nigeria, if that's what you are looking for. Because it helps you tune your mind to knowing that the country is not as terrible as I think it is. It's actually getting better. You understand? There are a lot of things that there's always a storm before the calm. You can't just grow, because growth is deliberate, but it's also painful. You can't grow without going through a phase in life that things might get tough, things might get as if they're about to end. It's just the way things have been orchestrated. So if you really want to grow, you need to go through some pain. And that's pain of even disassociating yourself from negative news, from things that will just fill your mind with nothing good can happen. Let me go and contribute or take loan to travel out of this country. This country is useless. It's not true. People living a very great life where you have decided to just live miserably. There are people that are enjoying the spoils of the greatness of this country. There are people that have understood the system so much that they are capitalizing on it. Same way you want to leave Nigeria and travel to another country, same way people in that country that don't know how that country works are complaining. Do you understand? Same way you are saying, Nigeria is bad. There are people in the country are running to that complain about how that country is bad. Now, it depends on you. When you even get to that country, how informed are you to be able to make the right decision to help you grow? That's the thing. Because if you don't even have the right information there, you still suffer. Your hell will start on earth by jumping from one place to another. So the thing is, the information you're allowed to get into your mind. When you go to... Sometimes I look at people that listen to... Just Lover and things like that, and I see how they can never think about positive things in their life. Why? Because the viciousness. Now, this is not a matter of like trying to castigate this news platform or these blogs, but it's the viciousness they report news with. It's very sad, and it's actually depressing. They do it in a very, very callous manner that if you read the choice of words they use, if you have a sane mind, you will not be very comfortable with that. It's left for you to choose your poison wisely. Do you want to keep listening to negative news and not say anything good about whatever your country is doing? And the only thing you think is that you have to travel out of the country to go and make it. Well, if that's where your greatness is, you can go and travel. If that's where your ruining is, you can. But also then that wherever you are as a great person, you can always excel as long as you understand how the system there works. And that's the reality. So if you want to feed yourself with negative news, you can continue. But our advice is that you choose to feed on positivity, because that's the only way you can grow in life. If you are always seeing the negative in everything, we're not saying you should not understand that there's going to be negative in things. Life is like a beach. There's inflow of water and the water goes back again. Now, look at the waves as bad and good. The bad will come, then to make way for the good. The good will also come, and to make way for the bad. Once you see life like that, you'll be able to see beyond your nose. I would like to read an excerpt from a book by Yuval, one of our favorite writers of all time. Yuval Harari is a Jew man that is a gay. It's very, very contradicting though. But I'm trying to load up the book, talking about how humans view life, yeah? And he even broke something. He said, let me read it from this point. You might not understand it. He's talking about humans and how they complain about almost everything. And he talks about when immortality comes. And he said, if that's the case, even immortality might lead to discontent. Do you understand? When people get eternal life, do you understand? Like, when people are able to live forever and not die again, it might lead to discontent. Why? He said, suppose science comes up with cures for all diseases, effective anti-aging therapies, and regenerative treatments that keep people indefinitely young. In all likelihood, the immediate result would be an unprecedented epidemic of anger and anxiety. Now, let's look at the reason why. Those unable to afford the new miracle treatments, the vast majority of people, now the masses, will be beside themselves with rage. Throughout history, the poor and oppressed comforted themselves with the thought that at least death is even-handed, that the rich and powerful will also die. The poor will not be comfortable with that thought that they have to die, while the rich will remain young and beautiful forever. Do you understand? But the tiny minority able to afford the new treatment will not be euphoric either. They would have much to be anxious about. Although the new therapies could extend life in youth, they cannot revive corpse. Now, you see what he said? He said even immortality might lead to discontent. And that's because the poor would always still see the negative in it. That since we already know before, because the poor is already comfortable that there's something they always do. They'll tell you, they'll send videos and tell you that the one day I went to a funeral, I saw the body. He was wearing nothing. He was in the ground. That's naked. He came with nothing, left with nothing. So this is to justify mediocrity. That we came here with nothing, we leave with nothing. So why do we want to kill ourselves? Why do we want to do this? Why do we want to achieve so much? Why I did this? Why I did that? But the truth is, what then happens when people don't die any longer? Would you still have that excuse for your mediocrity? It will only lead you to more anger and discontent. And that's what Yuval is trying to say, that even if immortality is served in the bottle where people can actually live forever, the poor will still see the negative. Why? Because they've conditioned their mind not to think of how to afford it. Rather, they've conditioned their mind to think of how to despise whatever they can't have. And that's the thing. So if you want to feed your mind with negativity, just know that whatever you despise, you can never become.
Exactly.
So if it's wealth you despise, you can never become wealthy. If it's good governance you despise, you can never enjoy good governance. If it's love you despise, you can never be loved. Whatever it is you despise, you can never have it. It's a law of attraction. So that's the thing. So and there's a saying I always say. I tell people that whatever a man is, shall be, or has ever been, starts from his mind. So if you really want to be a great person, you want to change your family story, you want to change your life history, you want to change everything that concerns you in a positive way, you have to start feeding your mind with the right amount of dosage of positivity. If you don't choose that part, you only end up bitter and negative. That's all I'll be rounding off with tonight. I think cryptocurrency is back.
Yes, it's back. So let's have you, sir. We've called you before, but didn't respond. Is he really back? Or is he?
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, clearly.
Can you hear you, sir?
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for this wonderful night. It was very similar to what myself and Rosemary were discussing some days back.
Oh, amazing.
Today is my birthday.
Yes, so
They born me today.
pop champagne.
So
The Scorpio King.
yes. And they even showed the movie for us today.
Oh, really?
They show Scorpion King.
Oh, really?
Yes, now they show it.
We
We shut down the TV. 113.
Oh,
I
113.
don't know the name. 113.
Movie Mnet.
Movie something.
Mnet movies.
Whatever it is, guys, it had been a brilliant session, and I appreciate something. I appreciate the emphasis on positive news. That positive news, Ninja, I did watch the status, and it gives me a lot of good vibe and hope. I was telling somebody today. I said Nigeria is still, from my knowledge, I may be wrong. Nigeria is still the cheapest country in Africa. Yes, Nigeria is still the cheapest country in Africa. And if you want to mint money, it's easier to mint money in Nigeria than to mint money anywhere. I was talking to one of my friends. He was telling me that once he finished school in Canada, that he still wants to visit Nigeria and come to Nigeria. I was telling him about projects and the things that can come. He's willing to leave Canada, come and do that project in Nigeria. I was wondering, how will you come and earn Naira?
I'm going to spend
what you have done? Naim, sir. Several people are out there on the road suffering. So we know they'll be forming income, forming swing. Me, I've always said it. I'm not destined to go and that. I don't think that's my destiny. My destiny is to go and enjoy that place. And because I cannot enjoy Africa, I can enjoy Africa too. Like, yeah, there's no African country I go to. I'll make sure I get something about them. From Kenya, I have the Maasai King, Maasai Lord. I have the statuette. From Ghana, I have some things from Ghana. I have from Nigeria. I have from Kua. I make sure I have something to tell people why they go Africa. And there's a lot of beauty. Inferiority complex, all of the things I would have said. And I don't want to go back. I just want to appeal to anyone that's hearing. Me, my own politics. If we cannot build our country, we cannot build our continent, where are we going to build? Yes, it looks like Africa is irredeemable. We always feel that way. But the place we are running to, one, they built the place, and they gave us narrative of how irredeemable we are, so that we can always go to sleep. And they create a system that ensures that no matter how you integrate into that system, you always be second class. Even when you say, I got passport, I got this, you always be second class. You work all your life. You have some dollars, you are a bit, why you can drive motor? I said something. That you can drive car and live in some supposedly luxury houses in Nigeria. These are standard, they are basic. There's nothing special living in Kolakosh. There's nothing special about it. It is basic. Normal house you are going to rent abroad. But when you sit down here and say, I want to live abroad, you will spend 100,000 per month on rent. Then in Nigeria, you're looking for 250,000 naira house per annum, and you are looking for the same quality of life. I told Kalorozi something one day. I said, I think Tinubu is trying to do something else, trying to improve our standard of living. It means that we spend more money on surviving, but our taste will increase. Then our appetite for quality will increase. And when that increase leads for development will come. See, when complacent, when life is comfortable, we become complacent. Excuse me, that's what I'm saying. One of the in Nigeria, every time Nigerians are complaining, when money, dollar goes higher, when things go a bit worse, instead of Nigerians to make adjustments, we don't make the adjustments.
Exactly.
What do? We go to China and make more inferior things. They will make inferior drugs, they will make everything, and then once we come back and everything is okay, we say we hate dollar, but we are not saying that the things we are buying are becoming more inferior for us to still be able to afford it. Because when we make it more expensive, nobody wants to buy it. Let me tell you, people will adjust because water we always find its level. And we will adjust to ensure that we can survive, we can live. Service cost will increase, cost will increase. All of that money will increase. Money in itself is a facade. So every time that increase comes in, now that fuel is 500 naira, people still park their car running their engine for hours. People still drive V8. Me and Kaloro drive V8 car, V8 car yesterday. When I went to check the price of the car, it's 19 million naira as Tokumbo. Don't be tell that. I enter the motor, I take picture. I take picture inside the motor. It don't be my own in case you see am. Don't be my own. I never get that motor. So I enter
people see they drive V8 in the same 600 naira era. You see?
I wonder how people see they drive V8, and these people will drive V8 when they go for meeting. Their driver will continue running the engine till they come out because they say the car shouldn't get home. People adjust. We adjust to it. This car 65 naira. We are still the same. We are still flying vehicle everywhere. And as we are adjusting, prices are adjusting.
Yes.
The UK that you want standard of living, £1 is 1,000 plus. If you want to eat a meal, good meal, or a poor man's meal, Chinese, of course, luxury for the cow, but a poor man's meal, Chinese meal, it's £14, £15, £16. If you translate that to Naira now, you see what it is. So I am not anti-traveling now. We have different destiny, different purpose. Some people are destined to be slaves, while some are destined to be king, while some are destined to be kingmakers, while some are destined to be washing the pants and the sheets of Oyinbos, while some are destined to be paying Oyinbos, and some are destined to be employing Oyinbos. We have different purpose in life. Whatever God made us, and whatever our parents prepared us for, and whatever our kinsmen, our peer group, and our exposure prepare us for, is what we will fulfill eventually. And one thing about the news, you know, when Mr. Richard was talking, when he mentioned King Kislovak, what they call it, they're so eager to assassinate people's character, bring up issues are so irrelevant, or, I mean, sometimes one of the things that they vex me past is the sexuality. If you check this account, cryptocurrency, deliberately, I will just treat sexual things. I hate the fact that they demonize sex, demonize money, demonize even religion, everything. And all of the things you demonize are things you do. You understand? As a normal human being, if you don't fuck for 1 month, something is wrong with you. As a man, as a Scorpio concerned that I am self, my own is 3 days, 3 days cycle, 3 days to 5 days max. You know? So, except I'm not normal. Even if I'm depressed, sex will get me out of depression. Where some people say, my own is what to get me out of depression. So, what are we talking about? Then we not come and make it look like it's only people that have sex will not go to heaven, they will not go there. Fuck your heaven. You know? They will use it, they will say, they will demonize people, and they are doing worse. And the guy, just like his father, is hiding and spoiling people's name, spoiling people's relationship, and forming and then mediocre are so much proud of what he's doing.
Calling him or her Oba. They are Oba.
They are even making him share name. Can you imagine? Me that I'm feeding the world, they are calling him, they are making him share maybe him or her, whoever share name with me. Oba. Yes, because you see, what me and Rizmi was saying to Randolph is this: when you have nothing to offer, you're always looking for how to justify your negative energy against people that are succeeding. There's a book that was written Wallace D. Wattles. I have referred to this book so much because it covers so many psychological, psycho-economical aspects of life. The science of getting rich. And in that book, the book was written in 1913, and that book says something. It said the rich hate the poor. It said the poor hate the rich instead. And they are always looking for a reason to justify why they are poor. So when they see anything that makes it look like this guy is this, there's something bad about him. How can he teach why we are poor? You know, and even the Bible that to confess and declare and bind and cast
and bind.
It's clearly written that you are to subdue the earth. What does subdue mean? You bring it into submission. That is to say that earth is not going to agree with you. So if you don't even look at the spiritual dimension of the disagreement of the earth, look at wind, rain, the sun. When the sun is angry with you, like my madam, she will be summering sunshade, the sunshine, I believe they call this thing, say sunscreen. I said, madam, don't be African, that's the harshness of sun. When it's raining, you are running away from flood and everything. When thunder strikes, so the earth in itself is giving you a lot of hardship, which is supposed to be a habitable place compared to other places. Now, you are expecting someone that has died for you to also be responsible for your welfare and your success on this earth, when he himself has told you from the beginning that you should subdue the earth. That means the earth is not the success for him. And because wealth making something that will make you understand that no matter what it is, there is a lot of facade around what the news tells you about other people. And then you will understand that economic development, nation building, governance, leadership, all of these are not my mind. They are not my mind. The people that castigate people the most in any ramification, there are people who have not done nothing.
Exactly.
There are people who have not done nothing. Assumptions.
You're right.
Motherfucker who thought they are wiser. They thought they know leadership. They thought they know boundaries. They said they know parenting. If you had ever done before I ran a company, I would and talk to them rashly. How they should supposed to. When I now have a CRM and I was failing at the peak of my own, putting all my effort to everything, yet failing, I understood. And I became a bit more considerate. I became a bit more understanding. Mechanic, I will give my time. Not meet my time, I bundle him, I carry him into base. Lock him up there for 2 days. Give the car to someone else. I don't understand that, oh boy, life is not something, you're just a child. When everything has to be. And for our nation, Nigeria, I'm very passionate about the country. And I am hoping that some youth, like you gentlemen and ladies, which I appreciate, would also understand the patience of building. The Babel of the Tower of was not built in one day, even though they scattered the voice of people according to the myth and the legend. Time building. The children of Israel, who were bent to take over Canaan, that you referred to at the beginning, they didn't have the character that will make them fight the way they are fighting today. If they are the actual Israeli that we are talking about, they didn't have that character on. They had lived for 400 years because they were people who are descendants and relaxed. You know, their father is even having time to do multicolored clothes for one of them. But they had to go to understand the scorching sun of Egypt, stay inside desert, become a slave until they say we cannot be slaves again. Now, an average Jew is a mental demon. Ori and Shisha all the time. 400 years of imprisonment. You wouldn't want to go there. Me, look at me. I spent 17 years in service. And I came back, I got into business, I was doing charity, good boy, father of the boy. When they dealt with my destiny, I became wiser. The same thing, yes, Africa, I saw that Rwanda has all visa issues from it. I listened to the president of Kenya talking about removing visa from Africans. And European Union, you move everywhere freely. For Africans, we divide ourselves, even among what we divide ourselves inside the town. You say this one is Hausa, this one is Igbo, this one is Yoruba. Among Yoruba, this one is Ijebu, this one is Egba, this one is Ibadan. Among Ibadan, this one is Chinekime. This is what they have nurtured us to be. But when you see between Belgium and Netherlands, they use only line, ordinary line without fence to separate it. Between Germany and Switzerland, ordinary line. You can put one leg in Germany and one leg in Switzerland. There is another. You can be. There was a place that you sit in a restaurant. One seat is in Netherlands and one seat is in Belgium. Or wherever it is. Look at all of this. But in Africa, it's not possible because we are animals. We are jungle, and we hate ourselves. And because of the wiring of the negative news, and they started media. And they put our feet on that pedestal of negative media, selling negativity to sell. And we don't give a hoot about what toll is taking on our populace and our nation. All that matters to us is that our news gets read and we make a lot of money. That's a Sahara Reporter. Look at them, all of them, here and there. And all we are doing is to find negativity. For example, look at our president. Everything. Look at Joe Biden. Joe Biden has a lot of issues. That even go around fraud and whatever. Yes, they kept killing it. But when it was time for Donald Trump, my friend, they were busy trying to tear the guy down and everything because the guy has a loud mouth and he's going to call out anything. And and then they ousted him. When they ousted him, they carry Baba that is just there looking like something. And then they started complaining again. That is what the news does. The news is meant to weaken the masses, because it is in the weakness of these masses that the news and the political leaders can be powerful. But we don't even know that it is not just our political leaders that are powerful. The real guys that profit from the negativity and the weakness of Africa are the Europeans and the Americans, especially Europeans. They profit from it massively. And they have used this news to spoil and to damage our leaders. So we will never have faith in the leadership and the future of our country, so that we can come to slave for them. And this is what I think. And this is, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. But I hope that young guys can have a faith in Africa and think of building our home. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the deep talks. Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate those points. Very salient. So we've come to the end of the show tonight. Thank you all for being a part of it. And those who are going to be listening to the playback, we appreciate you too. Next week, Friday, 7 p.m., I will be here to discuss another important matter. Thank you and God bless you. Don't forget, keep your mind sharp. Do not take your mind off the flight and fight mode, and be in the peace, tranquil, and operational mode. We are here, just like the last speaker said, we are here to subdue the earth. And subduing comes with resistance, and at the point of facing resistance, when you are trying to get progress done, you don't want to conclude at that point that the world is bad. It's just a phase that is going to pass. If you want to subdue the earth, you are going to meet resistance. Resistance is an evidence that progress is imminent. So don't give up, don't back down. Keep doing what you're doing. Be inspired to do more, because there's a lot more going on around you. Thank you very much. God bless you.